Hey Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I don't want to say your name because I know Gaelic is different, and my wife tells me I'm retarded.
It's okay. Dara.
Dara. Did I
Yeah,
say that right?
you did. Don't worry, man. It's I work for an American company. I have to tell people how to spell it all the time. Don't be worrying.
My kids run around the house yelling "Doom the Veil" at me all the time, and
Doom the Veil.
so I get it, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one. Where did they learn Doom the Veil?
My wife's grandmother, she's like 99 years old, and she's like the toughest woman on the planet. She
She's
immigrated from
Irish.
Ireland back in like the
Uh,
1950s.
that'll do it. All right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and she man, she's tough. She was like she founded one of the Irish centers here in Pittsburgh. She was one of the original seven Irish families to like immigrate and set up shit here in Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
So are you a Penguins fan then?
No, I'll be honest, like I was a sports fan until I had kids. And now
Right.
it's like, I don't have time, so I just like I love metal, you know?
Metal, that's fair. No, I have some family in Jersey. So I was in Philadelphia. I've been to Philadelphia a lot. Haven't been to Pittsburgh, but I'd really like Philadelphia. It's pretty sick.
Awesome.
It's a
Well,
great
hey,
state.
welcome to the Metal Institute of
Thank you, sir.
Thrashology.
Thank you.
I uh I immersed myself in your catalog over the last couple days, and I'll probably mispronounce this too, but the Dioltas,
That's it. Spot on.
getting there, getting
You're
good.
getting there.
Man, that's a damn good album. I'm so
Thank you,
glad
man.
Curtis sent it over to me. I really first I like the incorporation that you guys use of like I know the Irish are I love them because they're such a feisty,
Hmm.
take no shit, we're not going to be oppressed country.
For sure.
And I feel the same way, like that, that's how the world should be. So it's nice that you incorporated so many like political speeches and like it wasn't just Irish too, so it had like a worldwide feel. It was
Yeah, yeah.
man, was it just a really well written album.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. That's one of the like really annoying things when we released it. Like we dropped it literally during the pandemic. So it only did so much, but like the fact that more people are getting to hear it, I'm like, damn, that's awesome. Because like we spent like 4 years touring it. Like all the songs were obviously written on the road. So that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for that.
So I started like with most bands that I interview or review or whatever, I usually start off with like their first album, work our
Hmm.
way up through the catalog and see how you guys like, have changed and differed over the years. It really seemed like you guys just kept stepping it up and up and up. Like it's just
Yeah.
huge leaps and bounds. But like none of them are pushovers. It seems like you guys have leaned a lot more into the extreme side of it and less into the black side of the atmospherics and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're writing black metal, it's binary and it shouldn't be. So we never actually went in with the mindset of we're just going to be a cult black metal band. Like I mean, I've done that. Like the band started as a solo project, and I kind of did the cult thing. So when I was like, right, I'm going to move into more of a band, um, I opened up the scope of what we could do. And then once you bring more people in, obviously you're bringing in new elements and new people and new points of view. So we were like, right, what do we like? So you have a bit of death metal in there, you have a bit of trash, but it's blackened. It does have this darkness to it. And that's the lens that we put it through. So it's not just like that's why we say, we are a black metal band first and foremost, but we're more of an extreme experimental black metal band rather than just your mayhems, your burzums, blah blah blah. Because that's all been done. I didn't particularly want to do something that has already been done. And when you go through the catalog as well, you can see like that progression that we never really repeat ourselves, which is something that, I hope people pick up on.
Oh, I mean, they're far. It's really odd because like usually when bands like differ their sound or like their sound like evolves a little bit, they completely lose like Metallica for instance, they went from thrash to basically rock and they lost
Hmm.
that tie to me. So it feels
Hmm.
like segmented catalog.
Yeah.
Whereas yours, you could start with I think the first one was 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And like you could start there, and 10 years later, it's a completely different evolution, but yet everything's tied together. I mean, it's really like it's odd that like most bands don't write like but songs today. So very
Hmm.
rarely do you find a younger band writing albums, let alone the catalog just being able to flow so seamlessly.
Well, that's because like I don't know how other bands do it, but when I'm writing, I see it as a tap. Tap comes on, one album can appear in a week. Tap goes off, you can't write anything for 3 years. You know, it's one of those things, you know. So for me, when I'm sitting down to write, it's because I have something to say. And as a band, we go in with that aspect. You can't force it. So we have stuff to say. The Altus was interesting because, like as I said, we were playing them on the road, we were playing them live. We got to see what people liked, what they didn't like. So that kind of influenced some of the songs to be a bit more heavier or crowd mover rather than
Yeah,
slower. But the wild thing about it is when you're playing the slower songs like the Altus, the actual song itself,
yeah.
man, in the set, that's when it clicks for people. You see everybody just moving and it just locks in because it has that presence that you don't really get in any other genre of music. But yeah, like again, that's why it kind of all flows together because like when we go in and write, we're like, right, this is the theme. This is kind of the feeling. How does that fit into what we've done? And we never stretch it. We never stray too far from what is Horrenda and what isn't. Like Mark has a side project. I have a solo album. And when you listen to the solo album, you can hear, oh yeah, that could have been a Horrenda track, but it's different enough, which is why we are very cognizant of what is Horrenda and what isn't. And that's why it flows because we don't want to lose that edge. And then there's also the other side of the coin where it's like it's authentic. You know, we're not out there pretending to be something we're not. Like we're a bunch of Irish guys who are very angry.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it is, and that's what we put out.
But in all honesty, I mean, not to be disrespectful or anything, but isn't that kind of like Ireland? Like you guys kind of like when you say some shit, you got some shit to say. And
For
like,
sure, yeah, for sure. No,
yeah,
that's what it is. Like, I mean, that's when you listen to the Altus, there's a lot of statements there. There's a lot of like how we're feeling about things, and we carried it into Think on Your Sins as well. But yeah, man, I mean, look, I don't see the point in making art if it doesn't mean anything. So what's the point then? It's just a
yeah,
product. And if you're in there going, okay, we need to make this album for this, no, have something to say or don't say it, right? But then when you do say it, make it matter. And that's what we try to do.
100%. You guys hit the nail on the head though on every album, to be honest with you, because it took me like I don't know. I found this album last year from Cannon Fiber, and I probably said that wrong too. They're German, but it was
Hmm.
all like about World War I and the war machine and fighting.
Yeah, I know the band. Yeah,
Yeah,
unreal.
and your album, like as soon as I like really, because I listened to your album the first time, the second time, the third time, but once it really like grabbed me and it started resonating, I got that same like historical, like this is some important shit I need to learn.
Hmm.
And and it would have been nice if I learned it before I got married because like that one track, the last one about the blonde-haired witch.
Hmm.
My wife is a blonde-haired witch, and I think she. So I was like, the whole time you're talking about this evil woman, I was like, that's my wife they're singing about.
Hopefully she can't hear you because I can't be held responsible for what she does to you if she does hear
My wife, we have like the
you.
awesomest marriage, but all we do is tease each other. But
But
she's a
no, man,
great
look,
woman.
I'm glad she isn't going to kill you after this. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. But she without her, dude, I'd be lost. So
For sure, for sure.
I'll be honest, like the more I listen to Dioltas, I'm gonna screw that up, Lee. I know I'm gonna say it wrong. But the more I listened to it today, I kept getting lost in thought, especially like I said with those political speeches. And I thought it was really like I feel like your music resonates more worldwide, like you just said, like by using like those speeches from all over the world, everybody's feeling that same feel, I believe. Like whether it's us in America or you guys in Ireland or people in Israel or wherever.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
think that's what makes this album great. It had me thinking all day of like, where do I stand on this? Or like, is this a good view? And it
Hmm.
really got me thinking, which a lot of music doesn't do anymore.
Well, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's again, we wouldn't have made it if we didn't have something to say. You know,
Yeah,
like yeah, we love playing live. That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things in the world to do, is to perform for people. But going into the studio can kind of suck because you're sitting there going, "Oh, I'd rather be playing live," you know. But when you do sit down and you're making this piece that people are going to consume, I don't want to waste people's time with it. So I wanted it to be authentic. And again, with the band, like anything we put out, we're like, no, this is because this is a representation of the band or actually what we're doing. And then when I'm like, I grew up listening to Megadeth. I'm a big Megadeth fan. And Dave Mustaine was always into doing the political stuff, but it was never like left, right, this country, that country. It was more like how he thinks about this at the time. And that's kind of what we're doing as well. We don't want to isolate anybody. We want as many people as possible to listen to Horrenda because that's what metal's all about. But at the same time, anyone who does listen to Horrenda, we want them to question things and be like, you know, take a look at yourself. And that's what Think on Your Sins was all about. Like literally, it's like think on what you have done and how you can be a better person or maybe not. you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, clearly, like it came across because that's what I did all day today and yesterday. So you guys guess you accomplished your goal.
For sure. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely resonated with me. And once it gets released on physical, I'll be picking up my copy here, which
Well,
everybody else should pick up a copy too when it comes out on physical in the US on in May, right?
yeah, yeah. We our album Dioltas and Think on Your Sins are both dropping in May, and they're getting a US release, which is great. Because I mean, man, like when we released the Altus, we were like, we had our record deal, we had a couple of shows lined up in the UK, and then bang, the pandemic happened. Like, literally, it was St. Patrick's Day, and like the day before it, we
Yep.
were locked down. And we were locked down for 2 years. A lot of people might not know this, but the Irish lockdown was probably the most severe in the world. I think maybe Australia, I could be wrong, was a bit more severe than us. But we were like locked down. So it killed the music scene. Everybody was stuck in their house for 2 years, and we were sitting there on this album, which we had just recorded. We were like, ah, fuck it, let's go. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but
No,
we're
yeah,
like,
go
we'll,
ahead.
cool. We were just like, we'll just release it. And then we released it, and it got a really cool reaction. I mean, we're still playing the songs live from it. People still love it, but it didn't really get the reach that we wanted to. So when the opportunity came up to re-release it, and it's not just a straight re-release, it's a remaster. The video for Slew actually has like there's a new video coming out, which is gonna be unreal. I haven't seen it, but I'm very excited. And like there's a remix of the song which will be releasing as well around the same time. So it is a new experience that we're putting out. We're not just re-releasing it. We're offering a new perspective, 5 years, some perspective, but also a new way to listen to the album. So guys, do buy it. It's gonna be awesome. That's all I can say.
If it sounds anything remotely close to this, it's gonna kick ass.
Thank you, sir. Well, you got to hear it. You heard the version.
Is that the 20 the new one coming out?
That's the new one coming out. Yeah, you've heard
Man,
it.
that one's fucking mean, man. I like it.
Yeah, that's the
A,
one you've heard.
a
So
lot.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. And the
Yeah, I
thing
like
about
it a
that
lot.
is the original version is a bit more clean. But the version you heard is like it's my remaster, so I've remastered it to make it a bit more aggressive. So that's what you've heard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Really do.
And there's a couple other bands I've worked with from Europe, and it seems like that like a lot of the European nations kind of all had that lockdown and that COVID problem. And it would
Hmm.
be nice if a lot of you bands that had that would like, partner up and like start rising together. I'm big on networking and we all rise together.
Well, that's it. I mean, like that would be great. It's just it's kind of hard to do because Europe is, while it's smaller than the US, it is kind of like siloed. So that's why, as a band, we've been kind of going into the UK more, and then hopefully into Europe, or maybe the US. I mean, we'd love to go over someday. That'd be awesome. And I mean, if anyone's listening and wants to book us, please do. That would be sick. But it's not as easy as just kind of coming together in that way because it's big,
Sure.
smaller than the US, but we're trying. And like I think the first step really for us is because we're an island is to go over into the UK and then from there over, and that's how a lot of bands decide do it. It's probably a little bit easier for the guys who are from France or Germany or something because they're on the mainland.
Makes
But
sense.
for Irish bands, the big jump really is you go into England and then you go into Europe, and that's what we're doing now as a band. That's our goal for this year.
So are there like bands in the scene that you guys kind of partner with over in Ireland that I should probably check out?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, like the Irish metal scene genuinely has some gems. And always has. I mean, like you can go through, you can just pick up a random collection of Irish metal, and you will get some great gems there. But if it's a black metal thing, their Last Stop are really good. Their Suicidal Oppressive black metal, Aversi are really good. They're two like straight off the bat that I'd say absolutely go check out. We tour with them a lot. They're friends of ours. Um, If you want something a bit different, Neon Empire are really good. They're kind of like metalcore.
I've heard
Um,
them.
yeah, so there are a few. They're the ones that are just coming to mind. But like definitely, um, Ireland is a unique gem for a lot of people, and obviously, people are surprised that there's black metal in Ireland, which is wild, because like we had Primordial and a few other bands like that kind of broke that mold. But I would say if you're listening to this now and you want to experience just a whole different array of metal bands that you might have not have known, go onto the Metal Archives, punch in Ireland, and just take your pick.
Yeah, I
Honestly,
I worked with, I think they call it Crake, Kraik. They're
I
a
don't know. I don't know them.
Okay, they're a metalcore. I think they're like a metalcore band with some like melodic death involved.
Mhm.
Really good band. I'll send them over to you after this.
Do.
And I think I did listen to some Uragh.
Oh, Uragh are great. I was going to say Uragh are really good as well. They're friends of ours. Yeah, they're a
Phenomenal.
great band. Great band, yeah, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's these bands that go under the radar because we're in Ireland, and Ireland doesn't really get any help from. It's not like other European countries where the government will come in and the media will push it. They just don't. So we kind of succeed or fail on our own merit. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, Uragh are great. Um, I can't recommend them enough as well. Phenomenal
My
band.
my whole goal in starting this thing, I've only been doing this a year, was to discover, like, I don't care about new releases. I don't care about like Metallica or Maiden. I do. But
Hmm.
I really just want to find these undiscovered bands in like these caves in the middle of nowhere. And
Hmm.
that's like, man, I've just discovered so much metal, like from Ireland or India or these countries that you don't expect this huge metal presence. And some of those bands,
Absolutely.
because it's so small, are so tight.
But I mean, like that's it, like before you leave Ireland, you've kind of done the scene. It's kind of like you've done everything you can, and then it's an investment where you're like, okay, we've done everything we can. Do we stop now, or do we take the expense to go into the UK and go into Europe? And that's why a lot of those bands that I mentioned and that you mentioned, when they hit that next level, it's because they have like refined. They have been at it for quite some time. So it's a help and a hindrance in a way because it's like you don't get as many flash in the pan bands like who do the one-off album and that's it. But the bands you do get, it's like a really good stamp of quality if you've heard about them and if they're off playing the UK or like God Alone are a really good band. Like they were off in the UK. There's loads that I would love to name. I just can't off
It's
off
cool.
the top of the hand, but there's so
You'll have
many,
my contact. You can just send
so
them
many.
over.
There's so many, and it's just like any bands that you've heard like that are touring outside of Ireland specifically, absolutely check them out because those lads have put in the graft.
Yeah, and I think too, like all these Irish bands, because it's such a small country, of course, they spend so much time fighting to get out of it that
Yeah,
they have a better sound because they're working at it harder.
yeah,
I shouldn't say harder because I'm sure every band works hard regardless
hmm,
of their location. But
absolutely, yeah,
I feel like most of the Irish music is written for more of like a worldwide reception. And like your album is case in point because like the problems that are central to Ireland doesn't talk about bullshit problems like my car doesn't have gas in it. Ireland's like swinging away at like, hey, we got some fucking problems. And
yeah.
the rest of the world wants to relate to that. Like, hey, get us out of our problems too. Which
Hmm.
what makes this album such a fucking gem, you know?
Thank you, man. Well, look, I mean, the unique location of where Ireland is, it's like
Yeah.
we get all the American stuff, we get all the British stuff, we're exposed to Europe, but we're smack bang in the middle of it. So we know what's going on in the US. We know what's going on in England. Obviously, England and Ireland have that history as well. So it is like a unique place to be in a unique viewpoint to have. So I appreciate that that's coming across, but like as I said, we tackle some deep issues on Dioltas. Obviously there was more kind of like depressive stuff in the earlier releases, but like you're still just turning that lens around, and it is that black lens that I think Horrenda has. Like the name is, has come to mean a lot of things, but I still think when you hear Horrenda, you're like, okay, this is going to be some serious shit. And then when you see us live, it's a whole other thing, which is what I'm really excited. Like that's what we love to do. We love to put on the live show, and that's what we try to capture on the albums because our live shows. broken noses, pits. Our singer will go in and fight you. He'll climb stuff. It's mad, and that's what we try to do. It's a visceral experience, and we try to do that on the records. We definitely always try to deliver that live. And going forward, I mean, if you're a Horrenda fan, you know what you're getting.
To back it up a little bit though, like you said, it's like more of like a depressive and dark album, but it doesn't come across to me like that. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you hear those albums that are more, I don't know who to name off the top of my head, but it doesn't sound sad or wimpy or melancholy by any stretch of the imagination. It's
No,
pure
it's
depressive too.
yeah, because the Irish flavor of that is I'm very angry.
Yeah.
So you can be sad, and angry, but like Slua would be it would have those elements. Primordial Known would have those elements, and they're melancholic songs. They're obviously in a minor key, but they're still aggressive as fuck. Which is
Yeah.
what we try to do. It's yeah, I like that. Not sad and wimpy. That's funny. Um, but yeah, it's you can talk about negative topics, but the response really is like no, we're gonna fight, and if you listen to the lyrics of Slua, that's in the song. It's about overcoming that kind of stuff and pushing through and fighting it. So like that song means a lot to me when I wrote it. It has a lot of personal stuff in it too, but it is about overcoming yourself and pushing through and fighting it. That's what it is.
So when you write, do you guys collaborate and each writes their own part or?
No, that doesn't work. So look, we went through 11 members. And it wasn't like attrition was really bad. It was just when I started the band, it was a solo project to kind of just write what I wanted to write. And then when it became a band, like a real band, you had to find members, but obviously like they were friends filling in or, I was playing in different bands at the time. So you kind of had to find a lineup. And then over the years, like it's been me and Aaron, the singer, for like nearly 10 years at this point, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the lads joined over the course of the time. So from like 2018, 2009, 2018 is when we had our proper lineup, and then we got CJ after the pandemic. So he's kind of like the new guy, and we got a new drummer in last year. So like we kind of found our lineup now that really clicks that we're really really happy with. But as a result of that, when we wrote Dioltas, it was very much written on the road. So I come in with a riff or a full song and be like, right, let's do it. And then we refer to it as the Horrenda acts, where we just hack the song to bits, and then we would iterate, and then that would be the song. So the Altus is kind of like a lot of me, but filtered through the lens of the lads, and then the road, right? So that was actually really cool, which is why a lot of bands' first album are great because they had that experience where they wrote the best songs, put them on the album, and that's it. The follow up was a lot harder to do. Think on Your Sins took a lot longer. It went through three different studios, two drummers, got him out. Oh, it was a whole thing, and we had to like relearn how to write because we wrote that after the pandemic, right? We hadn't jammed for like 2 years, so we kind of had to relearn to be a band. Um, and that is kind of how we got our new way to do it, where Mark would come in with a full song, and we had to be like, bro, you can't do that. The song needs to be changed. So now it's very much collaborative, where like we can't have the crutch of just playing these songs on the road for like 3 years and then release an album. We can't do that anymore. So now it's like we'll come in with an idea, we'll jam it, and then we'll find that magic in the room. Maybe play it live. If it works, great. If not, we'll take it back in the room. But we've gotten a lot better at the collaboration thing. So at one point I wrote everything. Now, like obviously, like other than like the drums and the bass parts, like I firmly believe that every member of the band, if you're in a band, should write their own parts, but you can still give them a song and the chords or whatever, and they can go and do it. But when it comes to lyrics and stuff, I wrote a lot of the lyrics at the beginning. Then Aaron wrote a lot of the lyrics, and now it's kind of like we're all like collaborating together. Aaron will still write the majority of the lyrics because he's the one singing them, right? And again, if you're the one singing the lyrics, they should mean something to you, which is the being authentic. So that's where we are now. It's very much a full band thing.
Well, I give Aaron a lot of credit because for 10 years of screaming like that, his vocal cords had to take a beating. But
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
the part I like the best is too that you've had a cohesive front man because
Hmm.
you can change out guitars and sometimes it doesn't make that much of a difference. But to me, especially because I love caustic vocals so much, I thought Aaron's vocal delivery and approach to it was great. It wasn't over the top. It was well balanced too.
Hmm.
For screaming, it was slightly harmonious, but it's, I think maybe like you said, through the filtered lens of a collaborative process, it allowed your music to be more diverse, more textured, more influences, which also makes this album a lot more appealing to more fans. That way, you're not limiting yourself to black metal. You can hear
That's exactly it.
any type of metal in this album, just bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I went to do. Like, it's, as I said, I don't like to repeat myself. I don't like to like do the same thing. If you want to listen to Cult Horrenda, capital K V L T Horrenda, you can. There's two demos of that. I did it
Yeah,
10 years ago, right?
yeah.
But when we were doing this kind of stuff, it's like, okay, I like that. I really like death metal. I like grind. I like trash. Let's throw in these elements here and there because when you're playing the set, like those songs get people moving. You have the black metal stuff as well, and you can blacken it up. And that's why we went from, black metal to blackened extreme metal because it opens up the lens of what we can do. And like when you're listening to the album, you can hear, as you said, you can hear different parts of it. I mean, like I really like At the Gates. Axe Wound
Oh,
is an At the Gates song, right?
so
I
good.
really like At the Gates, and I really like The Haunted. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just write this riff, and there we go, and that's there. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm Sword of the Soul.
I just
Um,
picked it up like last week at a show.
oh man, it's so good. But like, I was literally was listening to a lot of The Haunted and Slaughter of the Soul. I'm like, okay, let's do this, and then I wrote Axe Wound. So I mean, that's kind of how it goes. And I do believe like there's nothing wrong with wearing your influences on your sleeve. And it bleeds through naturally. I mean, there is the joke, or at least in this part of the world, where like um Metallica have written every riff, and particularly when you're starting off, like as a younger musician, like in your teenage years, there's so many bands that are like, or many stories where they're like, I wrote this great song, and it's like, yeah, it's like Metal Militia or something like that, and
Yeah.
and that story is repeated over and over again to the point that on Nerve Gas, on this album, the opening is the same as Sulfur from Slipknot. And I didn't realize that for years. For years. And I'm like, fuck. So it was completely accidental, but it's there and it annoys me every time. But you can definitely hear our influences.
There was another band I was talking to, and I said, "Hey man, you're that's exactly Ministry's riff." And then like a couple days later, he messaged back like, "Yep, just figured that out." Like,
But I
yeah,
mean, it's natural, right? Like it's not like you're actively ripping bands off. Like it just happens, right? I mean, like, music has only eight notes, so you can only really do so much, But that's why, like, with black metal itself, it can be very easy to do it, right? It can be very straightforward, like any kind of metal. And that's why when we're going in to do it, we write simple songs with complex parts, which is really, I think, our secret sauce here, where it's like the songs are simple, but they have these really cool, interesting parts in it. And I think that's what sticks with people.
I went and saw Carcass on Tuesday night,
Mhm.
and
Unreal band.
say again.
Unreal. I love Carcass.
Oh, they're probably my second favorite band, and Bill Steer's probably one of my top guitarists.
For
But
sure.
now that you mentioned it about like grindcore being an influence, metalcore, everything else, I think an excellent example of like the type of organic growth that like Carcass had coming through is grindcore, then to like melodic death, and when they got tired and they said like Swan Song's it, fuck it, we quit, we got
Hmm.
something to say, we're coming back.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think the coolest part is this was like I've seen Carcass a few times now, and every set they do a well balance of grindcore, melodic death. They hit every album and it keeps the not only the set list fresh, but every time they come through, it's like almost like a new band. And I think that with your catalog being almost as diverse as theirs, from the
High praise. Thank you.
well, okay, maybe like yours isn't as much grindcore, but like
Yeah,
you got black metal instead.
for sure.
So like the evolution from black metal to like melodic-ish extreme metal, like I think a band like yours has more of a stake in the game and like a chance to like have organic growth long term
Hmm.
because you're not just pounding that open E string like as fast as you can. It
No,
can,
man. I mean, that's boring as all hell for me. I mean, look, when you're a teenager, you've done it. I've
yeah.
I've done that, right? So, I mean, writing music now, it's like, what songs do I want to listen to? And that's kind of like, if like it's like the same with merch. If I wouldn't wear my merch, why would I sell it? If I'm not gonna listen to my own music, why would I put it out there, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like we always go in with the mindset of let's keep it fresh, let's try and do something interesting. And you know, even with sets, it's very interesting you said that because we have actually changed up our set now to put some of the new stuff in it, and it just all kind of clicks in together, but like in a very unique way. So yeah, man, you're right on the money. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
I'll be honest, I was watching Carcass and I was stoked. And I was like, I know they're going to play this song, they're going to play this song and this song. They're hits. They
Mhm.
didn't play any of them. And I was like, what the fuck, man? But then, like, they played like the other songs I wasn't expecting. And they turned out so much better because you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. I
Yeah,
didn't happen this was one of the few times I didn't look the set list up before I went. So it was
right.
nice to be surprised, you know?
For sure. I mean, like, I think there is that kind of balance where you have to play the hits, you have to play the songs people expect, but then again, in that you can also have a nice bank of songs, and that's a kind of hard thing to do because there is that risk where you're like, oh, if we don't play the songs that people want to hear, they're going to be disappointed. So that's a fine art to play, and obviously, Carcass are you know one of the best bands out there in this genre of music. Um, but yeah, like definitely for a younger band like us, it, it's a gamble, but it's a gamble I would always recommend taking. Change up your set list. Don't play the same songs over and over again for like 3 years because that gets really boring real quick.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, that it makes it easier too because then that makes Carcass like a better act to fit with other bands, other
Hmm.
sets, other fans. So
Yeah,
like the lineup I think was Carcass and Cannibal Corpse, which are like
hmm,
two of my heavy hitters, and then
for sure.
Meshuggah, which I was excited to see. I never saw them, and so
Hmm.
but it was different having like a different feeling to the show. Like Meshuggah had a different feel live to me.
Well, that they're the best shows. I mean, that's what a lot of European shows are like. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to go see Gigantour with Megadeth. And the whole point of that was like, and that was in Orlando. The whole point of that was to bring a European festival over to the States where you'd have all these different kind of bands playing. And I think that's great. Like in the US, they don't really do that much, or at least they didn't. It's changing a little bit now. But in Europe, you're going to get that. Like you'll still get your black metal shows, your death metal shows. But for us as a band, we actually really like playing gigs with like different bands. Like one of our really good friends from the UK, Dead Flesh, great grind
So
death
good,
metal band. Dead
so
Flesh are
good.
great, right?
So
But they're completely different to us. And we went on tour with them in Ireland and then did a bunch of, like did a UK show, some UK shows with them. And I love playing with those guys. They're great, right? But even though it's different, it works, right? And that's what you want. You want to be able to click in with all these different bands. You don't just want to be, I can only play with these kinds. That's boring. I mean, watching four of any kind of bands play, it's kind of the same thing. But if you're able to change it up or at least have your set where you're like, I can stand out. It's like, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan or not, but there's a saying, in, with that kind of stuff where if every match is 5 stars, nothing is. And that's why it has to be, yeah, it's true. I mean, if it's all the same thing, then it's all the same thing. So you need to bring something different to the table. And that's what we try to do. We're not just a black metal band. We're kind of everything. You're going to be able to go, but still rooted in black metal. But if you're going to get your death metal, you're going to get your extreme metal, you're going to get your trash, and you're also going to be in for a good show. I can guarantee that always.
and you get some fucking education too from like some of the best speeches in history.
Thank you, sir. Like, I mean, look, there's a lot of a lot of good political stuff to pull out from that. I mean, my background was in history anyway, so like,
Me too.
yeah, yeah. So I figured as much, and that's where I pull all that stuff from. I was like, I might as well put it in here. Like everything that's in a Horrenda sample isn't there just because it's cool. It's there because it fits.
I agree. Well, hey, we're running out of time. I'd love to do this again, maybe after your reach out to Curtis and tell him you want to do this again.
For sure, man. Anytime. Of
After your shit drops in the States, we'll talk about it and more about Ireland. I'm fascinated with that country because of
course, man.
my wife's family. Like I've seen pictures and like she tells me stories about like when she used to like have to walk to school 3 miles carrying like thatch to
Well,
like
here's the mad thing. Like, if you go and look at our show, look at our latest video, come and see. It's not only an anti-war song, but the video itself is actually directly inspired by a tale that our bassist heard in a pub in a place called Navan in rural Ireland. And it's about because like what a lot of people don't know about Ireland is like, yeah, we had the colonialization, but like a million Irish people were killed and a million emigrated because of the famine, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a run, and that was like not too long ago. It was like 120, 140 years ago. Within living
Still
memory
modern.
up until recently, it's still modern. Yeah, exactly. And there's still like cultural scars from that. I mean, you're walking around certain parts of Ireland and there's just famine graves, right? So we were like, okay, we have to do something about this. And instead of writing a song about it, we're like, let's actually just do a cinematic video. So the video is about two brothers fighting over a piece of bread. And the story was told to our basis this way. They were fighting over a piece of bread and one of them killed the other. And then he walked into a bog, which is it's
Yeah.
just like a tar pit, but
Yeah, I
bogs
know.
are yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what the story. And we're like, man, that's so fucking dark. That needs to be the video.
Yeah.
So we went and did it. And when you watch it, I mean, that video is quite powerful. The song is great. I actually really like Come and See as a song, but the video I think is really powerful. And like a lot of people obviously know about our great landscape and stuff like that, but our history and our mythology and also what Ireland has been through, there's a lot to talk about. I mean, it's shocking that more Irish bands don't do it. I understand
Right.
why they don't, but we're like, no, we're Irish. Let's look at this through an Irish lens, and we don't back away from that.
Well, it fucking kicks ass, and we're really like a minute left. But no disrespect to Ireland or the UK, but fuck those countries. Grab dead flesh and come the fuck over here and
Oh, I'd
bring
love to, man.
vinyl with you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, look, I'd love to make that happen. Absolutely. It'd be unreal.
Fucking right, man. If I can have any vote in the matter, anything to help either one of you guys out, let me know.
Thank you, sir. Really do appreciate it. And I appreciate your time on the show as well. It's been an absolute pleasure.